The Borden-Kircher family lived in Yuba City, California, 140 miles west of Lake Tahoe. In June of 1965, the family decided to go for a weekend trip to their cabin, which was 1.5 miles to Lake Tahoe. They had 5 children who were with them during the trip. Once the family reached the cabin, they started bringing the supplies from the car inside when 2 years old, blonde-haired James Borden-Kircher walked to the wooden seated swing in the front yard while the 3 other sons and 1 daughter were helping with the supplies. 18 years old brother of James just went inside the cabin for a few moments, and when he came back, the swing was empty. The swing was still swaying gently, but there was no sign of James. The family immediately started searching for the boy, knowing he couldn't get far in a matter of seconds. But they were wrong. They couldn't find the boy after searching for an hour, which at that time they called the authorities, and soon a massive search was started. The sheriff brought 3 bloodhound dogs to search the area, and later he brought divers to check Lake Tahoe. Every time the dogs started following a scent, they walked downhill and crossed a busy Highway 28 to a beachfront cabin. Searchers couldn't believe Jamie had walked downhill across the highway that fast without his brother seeing him on the downhill slope. The 1.5 mile walk to the lake was steep and not easy to maneuver for a 2-year-old boy. Another option was that Jamie walked uphill or to the east, which is a ridgeline that goes into thick and deep wilderness close to the California-Nevada border. While the search was going on, a heavy rain started in the area. The family confirmed they didn't see anybody close to their cabin when James disappeared, and that their cabin didn't suffer any damage. In 4 days' time, 600 volunteers searched the area 6 times without finding James. An FBI agent was put on the case, which claimed there was no foul play involved. The weather gets cold at night over there, and the family was worried that James didn't have enough clothing. He was only wearing a blue t-shirt, blue jeans and red sneakers. Officially, the search lasted for 5 days, but unofficially it lasted for 10 days, which amounted to nothing. James' mother, years later in 2007, was interviewed when she was 81 years old. She said at the time of disappearance she felt Jamie had drowned, but as the years have passed, she believes Jamie didn't drown and is still alive. She said it's hard to believe that he was able to walk the distance downhill, cross a busy highway and get to the lake. James Borden-Kircher has never been found. On April 4, 1964, the Edwards family left their residence with their 2-year-old son Kenneth and their 2 daughters for a trip to a valley 5 miles north of Angeles National Forest in California. This valley gets hot during the summer, but in April it can get very cold. The family had lunch and started hiking around the West Antelope Station, which has the only body of water in the area for many miles in any directions. At 2 p.m., Kenneth was chasing a rabbit when he somehow disappeared. The family started searching the immediate area, and after not finding their little boy, they called for assistance. The sheriff sent out helicopters, 4-wheel drive vehicles, airplanes and lots of volunteers to help with the search. The sheriff was searching the 2 miles radius of the spot Kenneth went missing, and later he expanded it to 5 miles. This area doesn't have much vegetation or large trees. It's very flat and doesn't have hills. But the 600 searchers didn't find a single trace of Kenneth until 1 day later, when they found Kenneth's jacket and hooded sweatshirt that he was wearing. They found the clothes 1 mile from the campsite the family was staying at when Kenneth disappeared. Indian trackers were brought into the area, but they had no success in locating the boy. In the morning of Tuesday, 2 days after the boy went missing, his body was found. The sheriff stated the boy had to walk 7 miles to reach the area they found the body. Searchers found the boy's clothes 1 mile east of the family campsite, but they found the body of Kenneth 2 miles west of the campsite. The body was on the opposite side of a cliff, meaning the boy had to climb the cliff to reach to that location. Coroner stated Kenneth died 14 hours after his disappearance because of exposure. He was found face down in a nap-like sprawl similar to many of the dead bodies of other missing cases that have been found. His body was found 1,000 yards away from the sheriff's search headquarters. It's worth mentioning there were lots of lights put in place to help Kenneth to walk towards the headquarters, and he couldn't miss the spot with all the lights that were shining at night. We will never know what happened during Kenneth's disappearance or how he died. On August 13, 1966, the Jackson family traveled from Upland, California to Deer Creek Campground for a weekend of camping. The family quickly set up their tent, ate some food and went to sleep. Sometime during the night, 1.5 years old Amy left the tent and went to the darkness of wilderness without being heard by her parents. Soon after, the National Park Police was called and a search was started. Immediately, the sheriff sent out bloodhound dogs and air support to assist with the search. The dogs couldn't pick up a scent, and the National Park Service didn't bother to call their own special agent. They straight called FBI for help. The FBI sent out additional helicopters and ground searchers to look for the young girl. After searching for 4 days, the body of the little girl was found at the base of a large rock uphill from the Deer Creek campground. She was found by Kern County Special Rescue Team 4 days later, 1/10 of a mile from where she went missing. The location they found the girl meant she went uphill, which is not a usual thing to do for a missing child. Most of the missing children walk downhill when they are lost. The area they found the body was searched multiple times before the finding, and nothing unusual was seen at those times. How Amy died in the Deer Creek campground wilderness remains a mystery to this day.